a lot of people have gone, well, have you suddenly become the anti-reform channel? In a way, that's not what I wanted to become. But sometimes, hey, these things happen. There's other stuff, I would love to talk about. I would love to talk about the massive hypocrisy that is being talked about Angela Rayner, and thinking that this is somehow a massive scandal. And while it is, newsworthy to sure talk about, the way that this is being handled by Rayner, by the current government, is vastly different to the kind of stuff and nonsense that we did see from like the Boris Johnson years, or when Jacob Rees-Mogg was caught up in it. This was all just personal business and didn't need to be discussed by the public, or it was just didn't information the public didn't need to know. But now apparently we all need to know apparently what's going on in Angela Rayner's personal life. But there you go. Anyway, yeah, so I think reporting on a lot of this Reform Council stuff and what's going on in these Reform Councils is very, very important. I have said this before, that there is a lot of really bad political disconnection between people and their local councils. A lot of people really don't care what goes on, and you should really care. We've seen this, of course, in low turnout ratings. As I said before, my town, the last local election, was about 25%. That is absolutely dire when it comes to a turnout rating for a local election. And of course, who benefits from that? Well, none other than, of course, Reform, because they get their base motivated to go out and vote. And they've always done that, going all the way back to the days of the UKIP days for the European parliamentary elections, because they knew people just didn't vote in those elections. But if they could get their guys motivated out to vote, then they would win. And they only needed, I say, a couple of hundred to do it. Same for these council elections as well. So it is important to cover what is going on these Reform Councils, because they are honestly in absolute utter chaos. There is just constant incompetence going on, literally day after day, to a level and reporting of the stuff that comes out that is more than even I ever thought would be going on. I will say that now. I thought maybe 2 or even 3 videos a week, maybe at most, and that I can still cover other stuff. But no, I've been able to do constantly pretty much 2 videos a day, even during the silly season, although bar 1 week during the silly season where I got to talk about other stuff, because believe it or not, they weren't actually doing anything at that point. So that was a surprise. But part of the other reason, again, to cover this stuff is because this is the kind of stuff you can expect if they ever do get into a national government. And if they are this bad at a local level, how bad are they going to futz things up if they actually form a proper government? This is just honestly where they should be hit time and time and time again with. But unfortunately, it's local politics. Very few people become interested outside of maybe the local area when it comes to sort of local politics, so it's often hard. But luckily, hey, Reform UK, kind of people want to know what's going on. And it's also an opportunity for people, I think, to take a bigger interest in what goes on in the running of their local council. So absolutely, if one thing comes out from me doing these videos, that people maybe take a more interest in what goes on in their local councils, then that's good. But we're going to go on to how this is now starting to affect what is going on the national level of Reform, because this is the first time that Reform have now had to try and deny that there is any chaos going on at these local councils, when there absolutely is. We've covered it all. So this will be interesting when this once again starts to pile up all these things, because there won't be any hiding it. They cannot hide it. The list of the incompetence, of the stupidity, of the ridiculousness is just going to be far, far too much to hide and even deny. So Before we get more on into this, please do remember to click on the like, share, and subscribe button. And of course, down below, there are links to my Patreon page, the one-off donation link called Buy Me Coffee, where you will buy me coffee, the YouTube thank you button, and of course, there's YouTube membership button down below as well. So thank you very much to all those people who do help and support the channel. And of course, don't forget to ring the bell as well, so you get a notification of when we go live or when we drop a new video. So, as always, thank you very much to all those people who do help and support the channel. So let's crack on then into this. So this is from the BBC, who interviewed Richard Tice recently, saying that there was no chaos apparently on these reform-run councils. Then what must have we been seeing these past couple of months? So, Reform UK's deputy leader Richard Tice has insisted that there is no chaos in these councils that his party now runs, and there are plans now to deliver hundreds of millions of pounds now in savings. In an interview with the BBC, Tice now dismissed the suggestion that his party had brought chaos to County Durham Council after 2 of its councillors had quit, triggering by-elections, and now a 3rd was suspended. He said, "There is no chaos, there is success. We are saving money, identifying waste, and voters like that," he said. So far, I don't believe they've saved any money. I don't think they've identified any waste whatsoever. I don't think there has been anything of this. But this is what, of course, they will continue to claim. And, of course, Doge so far has delivered nothing. But apparently that Kent Council meeting, I think, is on Friday. So maybe we'll hear something about Doge and what they intend to do. Who knows? But I'm expecting, to be honest, it to be a lot of cuts to a lot of, well, vital services. He also said that the party was at least confident of more success in next year's local elections, particularly in the northeast of England. In May of 2026, he said, "We will see all-out council elections in Sunderland, Newcastle, South Teesside and Gateshead, as well as now a third of seats now being fought in the north of Teesside." Tice said that he thought Reform UK was going to do incredibly well, with the ambitious now to stand in every seat. He said, "I've been up to Sunderland recently, so as our chairman, Dr. David Bull, where we are now getting massive support. And I think that people with a sense want to believe with great success that we are now achieving in County Durham, cutting out waste," he added. I would say now, if you live in these seats, go and join your local party. Jesus Christ. Doesn't matter. Go join your local party and just go tell them what's happening in County Durham, where all these other reform councils are in control. Tell them about all the chaos that's been going on, all the stupidity, all the ridiculousness. Because I will tell you now, local parties need volunteers to go out canvassing. They need people to go out and volunteer. So I don't care which party is, just go out and give them some support. Just, go out and help them. Otherwise, Reform UK will win. And also, look for other people in your area, remind them to register to vote, get out to vote, especially on that day, will be very, very important. Turnout for these local elections, I think, will be very, very crucial on this one. So, are they delivering savings? So, one of the party councillors, John Bailey, of course, left them through health back in June. In May, Andrew Kilburn had to resign over a week after his election to the council to Bensfield after failing to declare they actually worked for the council. And then by-elections were then run in a cost of estimate over £20,000 each of public money. So that's £40,000 they have now wasted on this. And now a third one, which you may remember, has now been suspended because, oh yeah, he works for the Home Office. Because he made comments about asylum seekers that breached his impartiality. So that's 3. Because I think he's gonna get the can. He's either gonna get sacked from his Home Office job, or he's gonna lose his County Durham job. It'll be one of those two, I can tell you now. So he said, of course, that they're trying to make savings for local taxpayers. He said the party's plan to reform the way the council pensions funds were run could save hundreds of millions of pounds in Durham and in other councils to either cut council tax or invest in services like social care. That's going to be very, very interesting. Council pensions fund, that has a big potential to be fucked up if they misplay that. So that'll be very interesting if they start messing around with pension funds on that one. So Pensions UK, which represents the county's pension fund, has now questioned the likelihood of such significant savings then being made. Of course they would, because even they know it's very unlikely to do so. It said that local government pension scheme was one of the most successful in the world and was already now being reformed. It was already said the policy proposing changes could then actually should actually be backed up by evidence with detailed plans. Reform providing evidence and detailed plans. Let's not be silly. Let's not be silly, Pensions UK. When has ever Reform UK provided any detailed plans or any evidence to back up their claims of what they are doing? And as someone pointed out very recently in a video, there is now 5 months. Remember, in 5 months' time, a lot of these reform led councils or reform run councils are going to have to propose budgets. Oh boy, can't wait to see what they do when that time comes, because that's going to be a very busy period indeed for when stuff and news starts coming about that. I can guarantee you that. Also, as I keep on telling you, November, when local government organisation starts to come around, what's going to happen there? Very interesting when stuff starts to happen around that. So let's finish this off. Durham County Council is now also currently considering a plan which could see the poorest pay more for their council tax through changes to an hour support scheme. So much for standing up for the common working man from Reform UK. A decision now is, of course, due later this year, but Tice said everyone in the county would, of course, gain from plans to cut waste with Millburngate development in Durham and a waste scheme also now being looked at. I very much doubt it. I very much doubt any of these things are going to run. And remember, this for them, like Kent and Durham in particular, they have to prove that they have to succeed. The others, where they don't have overall control, well, they can blame opposition parties. Oh, well, we weren't in full control. We didn't have the support. That's why we lost. So we couldn't get our plans through. That will be the line that they run with. But Kent and Durham, they are in full control. And it is very likely, as I fear next May, my own hometown may end up going reform. I very, very much fear that happening, because we are doing a full 62 seat sweep on this. So 63 council seats are up for election. I very, very much do think my own council may end up going to reform. But like I say, I intend to sort of get out there and do whatever I can to stop that from happening, because I don't want that to happen. But as always, thank you very much for watching, and of course, as always, we'll see you all next time. And of course, don't forget to click on the like, share, and subscribe button, and of course, ring the bell as well. So we'll see you all next time.